What's up, guys? Today I want to talk about how the man that you became wasn't fully chosen by you. To a significant degree, the man that you are now, he was manufactured, not by force, not by rules, and definitely not by your own choice, but with couches, with screens, laugh tracks, and stories about love. And when you were a kid, you probably thought that you were just watching TV, hanging out. I definitely thought that I was relaxing, being entertained, etc. But you weren't just being entertained, you were being conditioned. Think about that for a second. Screens were never neutral. Every episode, every music cue, every romantic moment taught you what to believe about yourself, about women, about love, sacrifice, about your role as a man in this world. And today, I want to talk about who designed the conditioning and why it worked and how we can possibly undo it. So, when we think about movies such as When Harry Met Sally, that movie taught one dangerous idea. It taught things about how men and women can't be friends. Because if a man waits around long enough, loyalty turns into romance. Now, just smoke on that for a second, because that belief, what it planted was this: if I stay available, if I don't leave, no matter how I'm treated, if I wait my turn, eventually she'll choose me. Do you know how much life you're missing out on by just doing that alone? I mean, that idea has cost men years of their life, orbiting women who never intend to love them back, or mistaking patience for standards, or confusing availability with value. That wasn't romance, it was slavery disguised as hope. And we also have another movie, Pretty Woman. I'm pretty sure you guys have all heard of that one. Pretty Woman trained men to believe that their value comes from rescuing a woman, saving her, funding her, fixing her. I don't want to say turning a hoe into a housewife, but you guys get the idea. And the message was clear. You earn love through sacrifice. Money becomes validation. Providing becomes identity. But that isn't love. That's servitude with a soundtrack. I think you guys are starting to get the picture here. And then we have a TV show such as Friends. Friends looks very harmless. I mean, it did run for 10 seasons, but that's the problem. The men in Friends are portrayed as immature, emotionally confused, dependent, uh, incompetent without female guidance. The underlying message, well, men are lovable, but only if they're harmless. Masculine leadership is turned into a joke. Boundaries get mocked and competence is feminized. And after a decade of repetition, men learn that if they shrink themselves, they'll be accepted. And we can see this in even some cartoons. I mean, just take a look at Family Guy or American Dad or even South Park. Randy, right? You guys are starting to see the pattern, how this is what shaped you as who you are today as a man. And we also have other shows like How I Met Your Mother. Now, this show normalized waiting. Ted waits years or decades for the one. So, what's the lesson here? Well, true love requires sacrifice, patience, and emotional stagnation. Men were trained to delay growth, pause their values, pause their lives, to accept emotional limbo as virtue. Waiting became romantic. Stagnation became loyalty. Grey's Anatomy taught an entire generation that chaos equals love, and we wonder why we have so many toxic relationships, why so many women are self-destructive. Every relationship is dramatic, unstable, emotionally volatile. So what's the message here? Well, if it's calm, it's not real love. Men learn to associate attraction with anxiety, peace with boredom, stability with weakness. Healthy masculinity never stood a chance. And we wonder why men today are pretty weak. Sex in the City, yet another example. You guys see how the pattern continues to develop? Sex in the City reframed men as temporary emotional experiences, replaceable, disposable, interchangeable. Commitment is mocked, consistency is boring. Men exist to validate a moment, not to build a future. And over time, men absorb that dangerous belief. If you're easily replaced, then don't expect respect. And last but not least, we have euphoria. So, euphoria romanticizes trauma bonding. Pain becomes identity, chaos becomes authenticity. And the lesson, well, stability is fake, broken is real. Strong men disappear, healthy relationships vanish, and self-destruction is framed as depth. Men raised on this programming struggle to recognize peace as desirable. So, you might be wondering, who designed this? Well, it wasn't accidental, I can tell you that. Edward Bernays, the father of modern propaganda, used his uncle Sigmund Freud as a way to bypass logic and manipulate emotion. People don't buy with reason. They buy with their feelings, and they justify it later. That same lineage flows into the modern streaming platforms today. That medium didn't just evolve, it scaled. Screens don't just show content, they interact with your nervous system. When you're relaxed, laughing, emotionally open, your defenses are offline, your walls drop, and the programming doesn't need force. It needs repetition. So what's the cost of that? Well, men start to believe that love is rescue. Men who used to exist, they start apologizing for existing. Men who wait instead of act. Men who pedestalize women. Men who wake up at 40 realizing their blueprint wasn't their own. So here's the reset. Stop watching TV. Or watch TV as entertainment, never as instruction. But it's very difficult to blur or distinguish what that line is because, like I mentioned, your defenses are down. Your mind, the wavelengths that your mind starts to go into when you're relaxed, you can be programmed by TV. It is called television programming. So you have to be very careful. Complete yourself first. Build your frame. Live with standards. Then understand the script that you are handed and tear it up. You're not here to be a clown or a savior or the bank or a man waiting for fate. You're here to write your own story. And that's what this channel is about. Drop the show or the movie you felt that shaped you the most in the comments below. What belief do you believe that it installed into you? And how did you break free? And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.